After finishing overtime and coming home, my husband suddenly told me he had fallen in love with someone else. I just want a divorce to be with her, even if it means leaving with nothing. I stared at the divorce agreement on the table. Suddenly, I felt a wave of relief. Okay, I agree. It's human nature to love the new and loathe the old. I'm no different. Chin Junin stared at me in astonishment. You agreed just like that? I let out a cold laugh. My tone was dripping with sarcasm. What else did you expect? Oh, you thought I should go crazy and demand to know who that woman is, right? And that I should cry my eyes out, begging you not to leave, begging you not to divorce me, is that it? On one hand, you'd rather leave with nothing just to divorce me, and on the other, you want me to beg you to stay. So, do you want a divorce or not? Are your left and right brains fighting each other? Chin Junin was speechless. I ignored him. I picked up the divorce agreement and carefully read through it. After confirming there were no issues, I reached for my bag to grab a pen. Just now, Chin Junin had rushed me in so quickly that I hadn't even had time to hang my bag behind the door. After finishing overtime and coming home, I hadn't had a single hot meal. He didn't even ask me why I was back so late. He directly brought up divorce with me. I've had enough of this cold, lifeless life too. I pulled a fountain pen out of my bag. I swiftly signed both copies of the divorce agreement. Capping the pen, I stared at the badly faded fountain pen in my hand. This was a gift Chin Junin bought for me with half a month's earnings from his part-time job on our first anniversary. After nearly 20 years of use, it was worn and battered. It was time for a new one. I threw the pen into the trash can. Let's get the paperwork done first thing tomorrow morning. Then I walked away without looking back. I went to my daughter Yang-Yang's room. She had her back to me, burying herself under the covers. I walked over and sat down on the edge of the bed. Stop pretending to sleep. I know you saw everything. After a long moment, she finally turned around, sat up, her eyes red-rimmed. Mom, Dad doesn't want us anymore, does he? I sighed inwardly. Having lived for nearly 40 years, I've witnessed many partings between life and death, so I can accept separation quite quickly. But Yang Yang is just a 12-year-old child. In her eyes, her parents are her whole world. After Cheng Junin and I split up, no matter who she ends up with, half of that world will come crashing down. But she is also a part of this family. She should know about all the changes at home. I confessed to her. Yes, Dad brought up divorce, and I agreed, but we're just no longer husband and wife. We'll always be your mom and dad who love you the most. Yang Yang looked at me. Tears gushed out like a burst dam. Mom, I'm sorry. She covered her face. Tears streamed through her fingers. I was completely baffled. Shouldn't apologizing be my line? I quickly pulled her hands away from her face. Gently, I wiped her tears away. What's wrong? Why are you suddenly apologizing to me? Yang Yang sobbed in fits, her shoulders heaving. Last time when Dad came to pick me up from school, he came with a pretty lady. Daddy said that Auntie is his secretary, but when Daddy was driving, that Auntie kept leaning on him, and her hand was even on his thigh. I'm sorry, Mommy, I didn't mean to lie to you. I just really didn't know how to say it. I clutched the bedsheet tightly. My gaze turned cold, inch by inch. How dare Chin Junin to actually flaunt it in front of Yang Yang? I let out a heavy sigh. I held her in my arms with a pang of heartache. Yang Yang, this is not your fault. Anyone would be torn in a situation like this. If it were me, I would feel the same way. Yang Yang let go of me. Her tear-filled eyes looked at me pitifully. Mom, do you still want me? I was taken aback. I raised my hand and gently stroked the back of her head. Smiling, I said, I should be asking you, are you willing to come with me? Yang Yang sniffled and nodded vigorously. I pinched her little cheek. All right, you have school tomorrow, so go to bed early. She obediently lay down. I coaxed her to sleep. Only then did I turn off the light and leave the room. The next day, Chin Junin and I went through the divorce procedures. Chin Junin also started packing his things, preparing to move out. Neither Yang Yang nor I asked if he needed a hand. We treated each other as if we were invisible. But that evening, when I came home from work, Chin Junin stopped me. Your mother called me today. My heart suddenly leaped into my throat. She said Ji Rong had lost his job and wanted me to help him out by letting him work at my company. It's not a big deal for me, so I agreed, but I thought I should let you know. As soon as he finished speaking, I had already taken out my phone and dialed my mother's number. I even put it on speaker. The call was quickly answered. Mom, let Ji Rong figure out his own work matters. I've already divorced Chin Junin, so don't bother him about it anymore. Divorced? When did that happen? Why, Ji Yun, you... I knew what she was about to say. It was nothing more than trying to persuade me not to get a divorce. After all, she liked her son-in-law Ching Junin more than she liked me, so I immediately cut her off. Ching Junin has someone else. We're getting a divorce. We're done. Do you understand? There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. I took the chance to hang up. When I looked up, I saw Ching Junin's face was flushed red. He probably hadn't expected me to be so blunt with my mom. My phone vibrated. It was my mom calling. I hung up. I stood up to leave. If there was going to be a fight, I didn't want to have it in front of Ching Junin, but he grabbed my wrist. Ji-yun, it's just giving Ji-rong a job, a small matter. There's no need to refuse me and argue with Mom over it. My relationship with my mom is strained, and I really hate arguing with her, but I'm even less willing to owe Ching Junin a favor. He used to be my husband, part of the family. Now we're divorced. In my eyes, he's just the father of my child. Other than that, he's no different from a stranger. I shook off his hand forcefully. I'll handle this myself. You don't need to get involved. He stopped me. There was confusion in his voice. There was even a hint of anger and embarrassment. You'd rather argue with your mom than let me help? Why? I sighed. I let out a faint, sudden laugh. Do I need to remind you that we're divorced? Ching Junin's face turned pale. Yes, we're divorced, but we were together for 20 years. Even if we can't be husband and wife, we can still be friends, right? I just found it amusing, being friends with your ex-wife. Did you ask the woman outside about that? Ching Junin's pale face cracked inch by inch. He stood frozen in place, for the phone was still ringing. I was busy stepping out to answer the call, so I didn't bother with Ching Junin anymore and turned toward the stairwell. The moment I picked up, my mother's shrill voice nearly pierced my eardrums. Ji-yun, explain yourself. Did you really divorce Xiaoqing? Yes, we're divorced. Mom's voice cracked with anxiety. How could you divorce him? He's the boss of a big company now. You're almost 40, and after a divorce, where will you find someone with such good conditions? Besides, which man doesn't fool around outside? Just bear with it, and it'll pass. Look at me, I've endured it all these years too. Listen to your mom, don't get divorced. Once you do, you'll lose everything. I suddenly felt like crying. That philandering father of mine seemed to stand before me again, coldly watching my mother, who was begging him to stay. I once advised my mom to get a divorce, but she hadn't worked since getting married. If she divorced, she couldn't even support herself, let alone raise my younger brother and me, so even if it meant begging my dad for money, she wouldn't divorce him and let another woman have an easy time. She wore away her years in such a broken marriage, until my dad passed away. A bitter laugh escaped my throat. So I have to endure it my whole life, just like you did. The person on the other end fell silent. When she spoke again, her tone was impatient. What else can I do but endure? Isn't life all about enduring? And if you divorce Xiaoqing, what about your brother? I knew it. In the end, it was all about Ji-rong. After all, Ching Junin, the son-in-law who brought her face, had helped Ji-rong several times. How could she bear to let that go? Then let Ji-rong go live with Ching Junin. Since I'm getting a divorce, the position of Mrs. Ching is open, so Ji-rong can just step up and take it. I didn't have the patience to listen to her nagging, even less did I want to argue with her, so I cut her off directly. I'm not like you. I don't have to endure this. After the divorce, I can still support myself and raise the child. Divorce is something I'm informing you about, not something I'm discussing with you. It won't affect the $2,000 in alimony I give you every month. As for where you spend that money, that's up to you. Don't expect any more. I hung up the phone, leaning against the wall. I tilted my head back and let out a sigh, but the tears still fell. I wiped them clean before going back inside. That's just how the adult world works. Even when crying, you have to do it in secret. 5. My mom called me a few more times after that. Between the lines, she was hinting that I should find a job for Ji-rong, but he's a grown adult with working hands and feet. There's no reason he can't survive on his own. I'm not helping. Seeing how firm I was, she had no choice but to drop it. Ching Junin moved out. The night he left, I heard Yang Yan crying in her room. I didn't go in to disturb her. Children have their own world too. There were emotions that needed to be secretly vented. The cooling off period passed day by day. Ching Junin and I never contacted each other again until that day. After I finished my meeting, there were actually dozens of missed calls on my silenced phone. All of them were from Ching Junin. There were also messages from him. I'm downstairs at your company. Come find me when you see this message. It must be serious enough for Ching Junin to rush over to the company to find me. Probably something very urgent. I hurried downstairs. As soon as I reached the lobby, I saw him pacing back and forth by the entrance, so I walked over. What's the matter? He was about to speak, a colleague coming in greeted me, interrupting him. Good morning, Director G. Ching Junin suddenly froze. He stared at me wide-eyed. When did you become a director? I replied calmly. Last year. Why didn't you ever mention it? I lowered my gaze. A few years ago, when I got promoted to manager. I rushed home excitedly to tell him, but all he said was a faint congratulations. With no further reaction, I still remember the year I was promoted to deputy team leader. He was even happier than I was. He insisted on celebrating. Ching Junin, who usually wouldn't spend more than 20 on a meal that day, he dragged me to order hundreds of dollars worth of crawfish. But when did it start? Promotions were no longer celebrated. Wedding anniversaries only had flowers as a formality. Even our birthdays lost that happy birthday. We no longer go shopping or watch movies on weekends. Even having a meal together has become very quiet. We also stopped asking about each other's work. Apart from the kids, it feels like there's nothing left to talk about between us. Under these circumstances, what difference does it make whether I speak or not? 6. A sense of weariness inexplicably welled up inside me. I didn't want to get tangled up with Ching Junin either, so I changed the subject and asked him, "Why are you in such a hurry to find me? What's the matter?" Ching Junin hesitated, as if wanting to say something but holding back. His Adam's apple bobbed. After a moment, he finally spoke. My mom just called me. It's her birthday this weekend, and she wants the whole family to have dinner together. I raised an eyebrow slightly, all because of his mother's birthday dinner. He had come all the way to the company building just to find me. I had no idea what he was up to, but I couldn't be bothered to ask. Fine. I'll talk to Yang Yang. You can come pick her up then. With that, I turned to leave. Ching Junin grabbed me again. I glanced at him, then looked down at his hand gripping mine. He finally let go, looking embarrassed. What I meant was, you should come too. I frowned deeply. What do you mean? You didn't tell Mom about our divorce? Ching Junin said awkwardly. Well, can we not tell Mom about our divorce for now? His weak voice was almost pleading. Mom has high blood pressure. I'm afraid she'll be shocked. Then why didn't you think of that when you brought up the divorce? Ching Junin fell silent, lowering his head in embarrassment. I let out a soft sigh. Back when Yang Yang was born, I was swamped trying to regain a solid foothold in the company. Ching Junin, on the other hand, was busy with his startup, holding on to his fledgling business. It was my mother-in-law who took the initiative to help us take care of the child, solving our urgent problem. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that her health began to decline significantly. To avoid being a burden to us, she moved into a nursing home. My mother-in-law has always treated me quite well. I respect her very much. I also don't want anything to happen to her. I'll only agree to this once. As for the divorce, find some time before we get the certificate and make it clear to Mom. Ching Junin let out a huge sigh of relief. Ji-yun, thank you. I just nodded slightly without saying much and went straight upstairs. On the weekend, I took Yang Yang to the nursing home. Ching Junin was already waiting at the door. We went in together. My mother-in-law was very happy. She took Yang Yang's hand and gave her a red envelope. Then she held my arm and asked how I was doing. The atmosphere in the room was warm and joyful until a soft, sweet voice interrupted us. Mom, happy birthday. We all turned around to look. A young girl was standing at the door. She looked like she had just graduated a year or two ago. Young, beautiful, and full of energy. Ching Junin was stunned with fright. He quickly stepped forward to block the woman who was about to enter. Nan Yen, why are you here? Yang Yang suddenly tugged at my sleeve. Her expression was extremely unpleasant. She leaned in close and lowered her voice. Mom, it's that young woman from Dad's car, the secretary. 7. Before I could even be shocked, Nan Yen, who had been blocked at the door by Ching Junin, squeezed her way in. She walked up to her mother-in-law with a smile. Mom, let me introduce myself. I'm Nan Yen, Anne's girlfriend. Her mother-in-law was stunned. Ching Junin's face turned ashen. He grabbed Nan Yan's hand and started dragging her out. Nan Yan, let's go, right now. Nan Yan was displeased. She shook off Ching Junin's hand. What are you doing? It's your mom's birthday, and you bring your ex-wife but not me. Now you want to kick me out. I don't care. I'm staying right here. As she said that, she shot me a fierce glare. My mother-in-law's face turned grim. She wasn't stupid. She could tell what Nan Yan meant. Ching Junin, explain yourself. Did you divorce Xiao Yun? Ching Junin was at a loss. Even his voice lacked conviction. His voice was as faint as a whisper. Mom, I'll explain later. Nan Yin cut him off directly. Why wait to explain later? Say it clearly now, Mom. They've already gone through the divorce procedures. Once the cooling off period is over, they'll get the divorce certificate. My mother-in-law's chest heaved violently. She glared at Chen Junin, raised her hand and pointed at Nan Yin, demanded harshly, "Is this the woman you've been keeping outside?" Chen Junin pursed his lips and said nothing. Nan Yin pouted, looking displeased. "Mom, don't make it sound so harsh. What do you mean by someone he's keeping outside? Brother-in is already divorced. I'm his legitimate girlfriend now. Besides, they fell out of love a long time ago. Now, brother-in and I are the ones who truly love each other." With a sharp smack, a heavy slap landed squarely on Chen Junin's face. Nan Yin let out a terrified scream. She gently touched Chen Junin's reddened cheek with concern. Her delicate, sweet voice was filled with grievance. "Mom, how can you hit someone?" But her mother-in-law didn't even glance at her. Her eyes were full of disappointment and resentment as she looked at Chen Junin. "You bastard. Why can't you learn anything good? You're just like your damned father." Back then, Chen Junin's father had an affair and abandoned them for his mistress. He didn't even pay child support for Chen Junin. Her mother-in-law struggled hard to raise Chen Junin into adulthood. The thing she hated most in her life was women who destroy other people's families and men who cheat. The son she raised with her own hands had turned into the man who had hurt her the most in the past. She couldn't accept it. Her vision went dark, and she fell straight backward. We rushed her to the hospital in a fluster. It was a heart condition triggered by high blood pressure. Luckily, we got her there in time. After emergency treatment, she was out of danger, so I took Yang Yang and went home first. I never went to the hospital again. After Nan Yin made such a scene, I finally saw things clearly. Chen Junin would rather leave with nothing than stay married to me. It's just that Nan Yin was pushing him hard, wanting a title, but I never expected Chen Junin to have such poor taste, and I ended up getting dragged into the mess. I just wanted to stay far away. But my mother-in-law was so furious with Chen Junin that she refused to eat and even kicked him out. He had no choice but to come to me, hoping I could help persuade her. I couldn't bear to see the elderly suffer, so I went anyway. My mother-in-law held my hand, her eyes brimming with tears. "Xiaoyun, you're so good, yet Junin did such a thing to hurt you. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry." My heart ached with bitterness. My mother-in-law treated me like her own daughter. With her, I experienced a maternal love I had never known before. She had done nothing wrong, so why was she the one apologizing now? My mother-in-law wiped away her tears. "Xiaoyun, I won't stop you from getting a divorce. Junin is no longer worthy of you. I hope you won't look back and will find someone who deserves you in the future." I was very surprised. I didn't expect my mother-in-law to say that. I was just feeling touched. The door was suddenly pushed open. Nan Yin yanked me up from beside the hospital bed. "How can you be so shameless? We're already divorced, yet you keep haunting us like a restless spirit. Are you trying to rekindle things with brother-in by coming to see Mom? I'm telling you, NG doesn't love you anymore. He stopped loving you a long time ago. Do you understand?" My head was throbbing from all the noise. Still so young, after all they think about is love and romance. But didn't Chen Junin say he'd keep an eye on Nan Yin and not let her come to the hospital? That guy really can't be trusted to get things done. My mother-in-law is a patient. I couldn't bring myself to curse in front of her. I gently reassured her. "Mom, I'll be going now. Remember to eat and take care of yourself." Then she turned around and quickly walked out of the ward, but Nan Yin wouldn't let it go. She kept chattering behind me. I didn't want to bother with her until she said, "Why don't you go look in the mirror? A 40-year-old frumpy woman like you would make even Uncle An feel sick. I'm younger and prettier than you. What do you have to compete with me?" I couldn't help but stop in my tracks. He turned around and looked at her as if she were an idiot. "Don't you think you'll become a frumpy housewife one day?" Nan Yin lifted her chin. "Of course not." I couldn't help but snicker. "Then your life must be pretty short." Nan Yin was taken aback. Her momentum suddenly weakened a few notches. "What did you say?" My tone was indifferent. "You said that at 40, a woman becomes a yellow-faced hag. But since you'll never become a yellow-faced hag, doesn't that mean you won't even live to be 40? If that's not a short life, what is?" Nan Yin was furious. She raised her hand to hit me, but someone stopped her. "Stop it." 9. Chen Junin quickly stepped forward and pulled Nan Yin away. "What are you doing?" Nan Yin felt extremely wronged. Tears as big as beans fell without warning. She cursed me for having a short life. Chen Junin calmly shielded Nan Yin behind him. The meaning was very clear. He believed Nan Yin. "But I'm not someone who keeps my mouth shut. You're the one who came after me first. You were already rude when you spoke in the hospital room just now." I held back out of respect for the elderly. Then you had to chase me out and call me a washed-up old hag. I was just defending myself. Ching Junin was utterly shocked. You went to see Mom again? Nan Yen glared at him angrily. What? I can't go see her. Ching Junin, get this straight. I'm your girlfriend now. Am I that embarrassing? Can't I even show up in front of your family? Ching Junin let out a heavy sigh. That's not what I meant, seeing that they were about to keep arguing. I simply walked away. Just as I reached the hospital entrance, Ching Junin actually caught up, he said, panting heavily. Well, Yen Yen is just straightforward. Don't take her words to heart. I apologize to you on her behalf. What a pity. I'm also someone who speaks my mind, whether it's being straightforward or just ill-mannered. You know it very well. Ching Junin's lips moved, but in the end, he said nothing more. I reminded him, when the cooling-off period ends, remember to come get the certificate. Then I brushed past him and left the hospital. The cooling-off period arrived quickly. I arranged to meet Ching Junin at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. It was a long time before he finally showed up. I was startled. He had dark circles under his eyes, a light stubble on his chin, and a haggard look. I didn't think much of it. I thought he had worn himself out taking care of his mother-in-law. But when I tried to go in, Ching Junin grabbed me. Xiaoyun, can we not get divorced? 10. I was completely confused. He was the one who brought up divorce first. His mother didn't object either, and he had Nan Yen by his side. Why the sudden change of heart? What do you mean? You were the one who brought up divorce, and now you're saying you don't want it. What do you take marriage for? Are you messing with me? Ching Junin was getting anxious. He was even stammering as he spoke, and no, that's not it. That's not what I meant. His eyes suddenly turned red. Over the years, I've felt like I'm becoming less and less like myself. Every day, the moment I open my eyes, it's either the company, home, or the kids. It feels like I don't have a life of my own anymore. Until Nan Yen came to the company, she was lively, enthusiastic, innocent, and straightforward, as if she had endless energy. Watching her go hiking, surfing, and diving, not caring about others' opinions and always being her truest self, I felt as if I had come alive again. For a moment, I couldn't resist the temptation and got together with her. But Xiaoyun, I regret it. I've realized that the person I love most is still you, and I don't want to divorce you. He placed both hands on my shoulders. His bloodshot eyes were filled with regret, but without hesitation, I slapped his hand away. I slapped him hard across the face. Ching Junin was stunned. After all, ever since he proposed divorce, my reaction had been very calm. But now I had given him a slap. I could hear my own voice trembling. It's not that you still love me, you've just realized that Nan Yan's frankness isn't as wonderful as you imagined. You're tired of her naivety and straightforwardness, and that's why you want to come back to the family. But after having your fun outside, you want to come home. Do you think you're a child? And in this marriage, are you the only one under pressure? I paid off the mortgage with you. I didn't take weekends off. I accompanied you to business dinners to wine and dine clients. And I stayed up all night when our child was sick, and you still have the nerve to say you only gave in to temptation and got together with Nan Yen. But do you think you're the only one in this marriage who faced temptation? I had temptations too, but I remembered I'm a wife and a mother. I have principles, and I stick to them. What about you? You have no principles, no sense of responsibility, and no backbone. 11. After that outburst, I felt completely relieved in this marriage. I have given no less than Ching Junin. When he decided to start his own business, I was also working my ass off at the company, negotiating projects, because I had to keep my job. If his business failed, at least I would still be there to support the family. I also had to keep an eye on our child's health and studies. On weekends, I had to attend dinner parties with him and find time to be with our child. I have to admit, the passion of our youth has long been worn away by the plain and busy years. When a colleague brings me coffee every day at the office and thoughtfully prepares brown sugar ginger tea for me when I have period cramps. During meals, we never run out of things to talk about. Even leaning in to whisper to each other, I would feel my heart flutter time and time again. I would also want to indulge in the thrill of ambiguity, but when I get home, I snap back to reality. This is a home we built together, step by step. Through all the hard work, even if the love between Ching Junin and me has already worn thin, I still chose to use that little bit of love to keep our family going. Even if such days were dull, tedious, and boring. Just as a saying goes, loving the new and hating the old is human instinct, remaining faithful and steadfast is a choice. So when my colleague brought me coffee again, I still accepted it, but transferred all the money for the coffee to him, and told him that I had already had coffee with my husband during breakfast, so he didn't need to buy it anymore. Unless there was work to discuss, I would no longer have meals alone with my colleague after work. I only talked about urgent work matters and avoided personal topics. I tried my best to protect this home that seemed on the verge of falling apart at any moment until Chin Junin proposed a divorce. The little love I had left for him seemed to suddenly disappear. I also realized that after holding on for so long, I was already exhausted. Maybe my emotions were too intense and scared Chin Junin. He didn't speak again for a long time. He just stared at me blankly, as if he didn't recognize me. He sized me up over and over again. I let out a heavy sigh, but my chest still felt unbearably tight. Even my voice came out muffled and heavy. Chin Junin, once an arrow is shot, there's no turning back. Today, you have no choice but to get this divorce. 12. Chin Junin walked out in tears in the end. I only felt embarrassed. I absolutely didn't want to admit he was my ex-husband. I strode quickly to the parking garage, got in the car, and drove off. After the divorce, no longer having to force a relationship, I seemed to have a lot more energy. Work proceeded smoothly and methodically. Efficiency has greatly improved, and overtime has decreased. Bonuses have also increased. Yang Yang will start middle school after summer vacation. I have time to accompany her as she gradually adapts to the new environment. Chin Junin occasionally comes to see Yang Yang and takes her out to play. Yang Yang told me that after Chin Junin got divorced, he still insisted on breaking up with Nan Yen. After half a year of entanglement, the two finally parted ways completely. I didn't feel much after hearing that. It was as if she was just listening to a neighbor's gossip. But Chin Junin came to the house more and more often. He said it was to see Yang Yang. In reality, he brought me gifts and flowers every time. He would also use taking Yang Yang to the movies as an excuse to invite me along. 20 years had passed. His way of pursuing me was still the same old routine. Unfortunately, I was no longer the young girl from 20 years ago. I thought Chin Junin would give up eventually. I didn't expect him to persist for 2 years. He even got more persistent. Even Yang Yang was starting to get annoyed. She was even afraid that I might really be won over by Chin Junin. She asked me nervously, "Mom, you're not going to get back together with Dad, are you?" I was playing Sudoku on my tablet. I answered her casually, "No." Yang Yang seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "That's good. Looks like Uncle Shin still has a chance." I frowned. "Uncle Shin?" Yang Yang excitedly sat down next to me. "Yeah, Mom, Uncle Shin is so great, funny, witty, and knowledgeable. He'd be perfect as a husband." As she said this, she gently bumped into me and winked. I looked helpless. "You're the one who wants him to be your dad." Her secret was exposed. Yang Yang playfully stuck out her tongue at me. "I just want to be real sisters with Huan Huan, and I want a new dad too." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As expected, people were always chasing after the new and discarding the old, but thinking of Shin Yuxian, I suddenly put down the tablet, lost in thought. 13. I first met Shin Yuxian at the first parent-teacher meeting in middle school. His daughter Huan Huan was Yang Yang's first desk mate after starting middle school. Naturally, we sat together at the parent-teacher meeting. At first, seeing him in a formal suit with a stern expression, I thought this person was a rigid old fossil, but after he took the initiative to talk to me, I realized he was humorous and refined in his speech, nothing like a stick in the mud. Learning that we were both single parents and that Huan Huan and Yang Yang got along so well, we gradually became inseparable close friends. My interactions with Shin Yuxian also increased. We would help each other pick up the kids when the other was busy. We would gather together to celebrate the children's birthdays. We would take the kids out to play together, but we only ever talked about the kids, never about anything else until that day, when the four of us went out to see a musical and then headed to a restaurant for dinner. Huan Huan and Yang Yang, however, ran off to play the newly opened escape room, leaving us behind at the restaurant. That was the first time we didn't talk about the kids, only about each other. He enjoyed playing Sudoku just as much as I did. He also liked suspenseful movies and novels, especially those by Agatha Christie. We talked a lot, but I don't remember much of it. All I recall is that he made me laugh several times, so hard that I couldn't straighten my back. When Huan Huan and Yang Yang came back, we had already gone from sitting face to face to sitting side by side, whispering to each other. Later, I found out that Huan Huan and Yang Yang were deliberately trying to set us up. They wanted to become real sisters, the kind that shares the same household registration, but neither of us seemed to mind their Matchmaking, instead, it fell into a relationship that was more than friends but less than lovers. The doorbell suddenly rang. My train of thought was interrupted. Yang Yang muttered, "Who is it? Coming so late?" She went to open the door, seeing it was Chen Junin. Her tone carried a barely noticeable hint of disdain. "Dad, why are you here so late?" Chen Junin was holding a bag in his hand. He held it up in front of her with a beaming smile, as if expecting praise. "Last time you said you wanted to try the cake from this shop, so I went and bought it for you." Yang Yang pouted her little lips. "Who eats cake this late? It'll make you gain weight." Chen Junin's smile instantly froze on his face. His eyes couldn't hide the disappointment. An awkward silence hung in the air. I had to step in to ease the tension. "Your dad took the time to bring you a cake after work. You should say thank you." Yang Yang pouted. Then she said to Chen Junin, "Thank you, Dad." I took the cake and handed it to Yang Yang. "Put it in the fridge. We'll have it tomorrow." Only Chen Junin and I were left at the door. I was about to use the late hour as an excuse to send him home early, not wanting to let him in, but he said he wanted to talk to me. We went downstairs to the residential area together. Halfway there, he stopped walking. "Recently, Yang Yang keeps mentioning an Uncle Shin. Is he your suitor?" 14. Chen Junin's burning gaze fixed on me. There was a hint of brokenness in his eyes. I didn't answer him directly. "That's the father of Yang Yang's good friend." Chen Junin, however, refused to let it go. "Is he pursuing you?" It suddenly dawned on me that was the real reason he brought the cake today. He always does this, using the excuse of seeing the kids to harass me in a public setting. I didn't want to lose my temper, but I still shot back without any courtesy. "That's none of your business, is it?" I didn't expect Chen Junin to get anxious. "How is this none of my business? You're looking for a stepfather for Yang Yang now. Xiaoyun, you've seen everything I've done over the past 2 years, haven't you? I truly regret it, and I really want to win you back, to save our family. Instead of finding a stepfather for Yang Yang, why don't we just remarry? After all, I'm Yang Yang's biological father. No other man could love her as much as I do. For us to be together is what's best for her." I stared fixedly at his anxious face. Irritation shot straight to the top of my head. "Since you claim to care so much about our daughter, let me ask you, do you even know what she likes?" A look of confusion spread across Chen Junin's face. He remained silent for a long time. I could barely stop myself from rolling my eyes. Right now, Yang Yang's favorite thing to do is puzzles. She loves watching musicals, and she's especially into escape rooms. But look at where you take her. Every time it's either the amusement park or the movie theater. And the gifts you give her are always stuffed animals, nothing else. But she's grown up now. She's not a 3-year-old anymore. She has her own unique interests and hobbies. You say no one loves her more than you, but you don't even know what she likes. How can you love her?" Chen Junin was dumbfounded, yet he still refused to give up. He forced a rebuttal. "That's because we're living apart now. As long as we live together again, I'm sure I can do better than this." His eyes were slightly red. He tightly held my hand, begging me humbly and meekly, "Xiaoyun, give me one more chance. I truly want to make it up to you. As for Yang Yang, believe me, I am her biological father and will treat her well without hurting her." A cool breeze gently brushed across my curled lips. Even the sound of my sneer seemed to be coated with a layer of frost. "Not hurt her, but when you took Nan Yan to pick her up from school and were all lovey-dovey with Nan Yan in front of her, you had already hurt her." Chen Junin's expression froze. His hand holding mine suddenly let go. 15. This is the reason I can never forgive Chen Junin. It doesn't matter that he hurt me and made me sad, but he cannot make my child suffer. After our divorce, I often saw Yang Yang secretly crying in her room because she saw Chen Junin with Nan Yan but didn't know how to tell me. Even though she later confessed to me, she still carried a heavy psychological burden, feeling that she had helped Chen Junin hurt me, and that she had let me down. It took me a great deal of effort to persuade her to let go of this burden. I suddenly thought of Shin Yushin again. Yang Yang and Huan Huan enjoy playing escape rooms. He spent 3 evenings studying the strategies, then he accompanied them to play. He would also seek out all kinds of interesting puzzles to give to Yang Yang. He even kept track of musical tours to snatch up tickets for the 2 kids. Shin Yushin was indeed better at being a father than Chen Junin, maybe, as Yang Yang said. "He's the type to be a good husband." I snapped back to reality, but then Cheng Junin turned furious with embarrassment, even more agitated than before, his eyes blazing with rage. Can you guarantee that this man won't hurt her? Xiaoyun, you can't be so selfish, you can't rush to find her a stepfather just for your own happiness. I laughed. Who does he think he is? And now he's trying to boss me around. That's still better than you rushing to find her a stepmother before you're even divorced. Qing Junin abruptly averted his gaze from mine, his face was full of embarrassment. My patience had also run out. Qing Junin, I've already said everything that needed to be said when we got divorced 2 years ago. If you want to come see the kids and care about them, I won't stop you. But if you're trying to use the kids to talk about getting back together, then from now on, you're not welcome in my home. Also, my private life is none of your business to meddle in. I didn't spare him even a single glance and turned to leave, even though I vaguely heard sobbing. I didn't look back. When I reached the bottom of the apartment building, I received a message from Shen Yushin. Xiaoyun, Huan and I are planning to go to the beach and want to invite you and Yang to join us. Are you free tomorrow? Right after, another message popped up on my phone from Huan. Aunt Yun, you have to come tomorrow. Dad has something to tell you. I laughed out loud. What a coincidence. I also have something to say to Shen Yushin. I replied to Shen Yushin, sure. See you tomorrow. Then I sent another message to Huan, I'll be there tomorrow. I looked up. The moon is full. It's time to try someone new. The end.